finally, I think. Am I live? Can you hear me? Hey everybody, Mary here from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. I hope you can see me. My reception is not great today. Took me a couple seconds just to get here. So let me know if you're watching. Let me know if you can see me. Say hi. Tell me where you're gardening today, and hopefully it's a little cooler where you are than where I am. All right, so welcome to my weekly live. My name is Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds. I hope you can see me. I hope my reception is not super spotty today. If for some reason you have trouble seeing me, please just let me know. There's lots of awesome stuff going on here at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. Oh, sweltering in South Jersey. I'm sweltering here in East Texas. It's over 100 degrees. It's been over 100 degrees for over 30 days. The feels like temperature over 100 degrees, I guess that means. We were supposed to have some rain. We didn't get a lot of rain. So yeah, Jane says finally not 100 degrees. Yeah, I think our high is like 97, but it feels like 107. So that's kind of the funny thing is I talk about fall gardening and it's sweltering heat. I talk about heat tolerant crops when I'm in a sweatshirt because we like to prepare. Okay, I like to prepare. Maybe you don't. Robert says, hey Mary, watching from Stuttgart. I hope I pronounced that right. Your video is clear. Awesome. Okay, so I'm out on a part of our property that doesn't get great reception. So I was really hoping that things would work smoothly here. Now you can see it is a little windy tonight, so I'm hoping my camera doesn't blow away. So before I go into my topic of the evening, I always like to share what's new and what's exciting at Mary's Heirloom Seeds. I just finished the August giveaway. It was super fun. We just announced that the towels are finally available for sale. In the giveaway, we gave away 4 winners. They received seeds and towels, and those items are already on the way. Today is August 11th, and my August seed sale ends on the 12th, which is tomorrow at midnight. We are working on some awesome stuff. T-shirts are one of them. Hey Mary, Indira says, love the beautiful towels. Thank you. So we are working on t-shirts. That's been like the common question is, when are you gonna have t-shirts? I've been looking for, hey, everybody's joining us. Thank you, everybody. So hi, everybody, welcome. Thank you for joining my live. So the t-shirts were one thing. Sorry, I'm getting situated. Everybody's been asking. They will be available soon. We're just trying to work out mostly the availability of shirts because it's not something that we have a full run of everything. So if you're just joining me and you've never joined me live, welcome. If you're joining me every week, welcome back. Hey, Raketa, thanks for joining us. I'm a little further away from my camera today because I wanted you to see this beautiful area that is going to be my future fall garden. So tonight we're going to talk about fall garden, but mostly soil prep. So if you have a garden already going for summertime, some of those might be carrying into fall. So peppers are still producing, tomatoes might still be producing. So you might not be removing those things, but you might be making room for more stuff. You might be clearing out some stuff like beans that might have already been done, herbs that might have already been done. I know some of my basil has already completely gotten toast. And Dale says, hello, first time. Welcome, first timers. So I was saying that some of my basil, it's already gone to seed, or it's already literally crispy because it's been over 100 degrees here. So some of those plants I'm pulling up. Now I'm going to talk to you about what am I going to do for fall soil prep. If you Google that, you're going to find a lot of information about what you can do for your soil in fall to prepare for spring. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Tonight, I'm going to talk about how to prepare your soil for fall planting. And that's what is up next. It's summertime, it's hot, but pretty soon, fingers crossed, it's gonna get cooler out, and we need to prepare now for our fall crops. So behind me here is a brand new bed. I set this up a while back. I filled it with soil, but we don't have a lot of water to this portion of the garden yet. I was going to talk about how important water is for your garden, but unfortunately our water installation has been delayed by a couple days, so we don't have water yet. Someone asked me, well, how much water do you put in there? And that really is going to depend on what you're growing and where everything's at. This area over here, I have a couple beds, and I am watering those with a bucket because I put this garden in these couple beds specifically for seed saving, and then I didn't get water to this area. And unfortunately, our water just isn't available to this area yet. But that is something that I have been working on for a little while now. So, if you already have a garden area ready to go and you want to prepare it for fall, let's talk about that first. Weeds. If you've got weeds that have been hiding around your garden, that have been kind of popping up here and there, now is the time to start getting rid of them. You want to make sure you have a very clear area before you start planting your fall crops. You don't want your fall crops to be competing with your fall seedlings, because you don't want to go in later on and start pulling out what you think is weeds and then come to find out they're your fall crops that are coming up. Spent plants, I mentioned that earlier. So if you already had, say, beans in this area and they're already spent and they're already getting kind of brown and crinkly, now is the time to pull them up. Now, what do you do with spent crops? What do you do with spent plant material that you don't necessarily use right now? I'm going to preface that by saying right now. If you have spent plants that are diseased, you need to throw them away. Do not compost disease or pest-ridden plants. You may be adding to your headache down the line. If you have diseased plants, you don't want to compost them. Now, spent bean plants or cowpea crops, if they are not diseased, put them in the compost. They are fantastic organic material for your future gardens. So they should be composted as long as they're not diseased. Fallen fruits. So if you have peppers, tomatoes, beans, random things that have fallen down or have been maybe eaten by some bugs and you didn't pull those out, now is a great time to clear those out from underneath your garden plants or your garden bed. The reason being is, as those things compost on the top of your soil, you're going to possibly attract more pests or even beneficial bugs like roly-polies. Some people call them pill bugs. Kind of depends on where you're from. Some people have said, well, roly-polies eat my seedlings. And usually that's because you have decomposing material either on the surface of your soil or just under your soil that hasn't been fully composted, and they are eating your seedlings because it's a food source, because you have other decomposing stuff on top of your soil. So keep that in mind. If you have fallen fruits and you want to start a fall garden, you want to kind of clear those out a little bit. If you have compacted soil, so if this bed had been planted in already and it had been compacted down, you're not going to want to plant something like carrots or beets in this area, because you're not going to have a good germination, or you're not going to have healthy carrots, for example, if you have compacted soil. So you can loosen that up. You can use a garden shovel. You can use a couple different things. You don't need to do a heavy till. I'm not talking about completely tilling up your garden. You can use a garden fork, and that's totally fine. You can use a rake and just kind of brush around so you get a nice soft, like, loose soil. This is, see that? I told ya, it's windy. Sorry. Give me a second here, guys. Craziness. East Texas wind is amazing. Sorry about that. This will go down in one of our bloopers. I know Christian, he's in East Texas. He mentioned it to me a while ago. He said I should put duct tape on my tripod so that it doesn't blow away. And I haven't done that yet. Sorry, guys. All right, let's see if we can get through this without losing you again. That would be awesome. If you're still with me, say hi. Tell me what's going on. Sorry I took you on a wild ride. It's like driving with my mom. My mom's not watching today, so I can say that. All right, so let's talk about this. What else? Avoid over-fertilizing. So that was something that I really wanted to talk to you tonight. Let me see if I can get a little closer and out of the sun. It may not happen. I may just be in the sun. Let's talk about over-fertilizing. You don't want to over-fertilize your fall garden. Beets in particular, root crops in particular, if they have too much nitrogen, you will have lots of leafy green growth. Sorry guys, I'm a mess tonight. What can I say? I'm sorry. There we go. Hi. Sorry about that. Don't over-fertilize your fall garden. If you put too much nitrogen back into your soil, you will have nice, fluffy, leafy greens, but not much in root production. Root production, you want magnesium, you want phosphorus. Let me see if I can move this. Sorry, it's kind of hot. You don't want high nitrogen content. So something to consider. You can put low nitrogen, like a in between, something like Mountain Flower Root Boost, or just our general plant food. But you don't want to add a ton of blood meal or a ton of manure, even composted manure, to your fall garden. Oftentimes, root crops are fantastic to add after heavy feeders like tomatoes or peppers because they don't require a lot of fertilizer. If you are planning on prepping a bed in fall for spring, but not necessarily fall crops, that's a whole nother story. So that's not what we're really discussing today. Root crops need some fertility to grow, but not a lot. So let me get into more specifics. This garden bed, I will explain to you exactly what I put in here. Let me turn a little bit. So in this garden bed, you see a shovel, obviously, and some soil. You've got a lot of debris on top of it, which is absolutely fine for me right now. I'm actually going to use the leaves as a natural mulch. I do not use a lot of mulch because I don't have access to it right this very second. This bed in particular is very far away from my main garden and my second garden. So this is a newer addition. See all these leaves behind me? That's going to be a lot of my mulch material that I'm going to use on top of the garden bed. So at the very bottom of the bed, I added a layer of fallen leaves first, and then I added container garden soil mix. I buy this in bulk, and a giant pickup truck, not a pickup truck, a giant dump truck drops it on one of the portions of our garden. And so I filled the garden bed up with that, and then I'm going to add a very light layer of Mountain Flower Root Boost. Then I'm going to add another layer of soil, and I'm going to water it very well. That's all I'm going to do for this. I'm not going to add anything major to it because there's already some compost in the raised bed mix that I purchased. Now, I do have a recipe for your own container garden soil. The container garden soil I use is a mixture of compost, coconut coir, and perlite. That gives you a nice fluffy soil. It's not like high in any major nutrients, but it's a good nutrient dense soil that can grow in containers as well as raised beds. Now, what am I going to do if I already have a bed like that one over there? And what am I going to do with that bed in order to prepare a bed that's already being used for fall planting? Now, what I'm going to do with these, I already mentioned, but I'm going to go over it again. I'm going to pull out any of the spent plants that need to be composted. go in the compost. Anything that is spent that might be diseased or have pests like aphids, those are going to go in the trash. I'm not going to keep those. Some people have a burn pile, and you can put all of your spent, possibly diseased stuff in a burn pile. We are in a burn ban right now because it is so dry. Can you see that behind me? It's crispy. We have not had enough moisture, enough rain here to be able to burn any of our debris. So unfortunately, that's going to need to go in the trash and not a burn pile. So once I clear out any of the debris from a bed that already had something growing in it, I'm going to do the same thing that I'm going to do with this new bed. I'm going to take a light layer of mountain flower compost, mountain flower root boost, and I'm going to sprinkle it along the top. I'm going to add a light layer of soil on top because it has compacted, or at least it's gone down a little bit, maybe about an inch or two since I added the soil to it earlier this year. I'm going to water it really well, and I'm going to plant in it. So your fall soil prep does not have to be as intensive as your spring soil prep. And I briefly mentioned earlier in the video that if you search for certain things for fall soil prep, a lot of the information you find, a lot of the information I found was specifically for how to prep your soil in fall for a spring garden. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about how to go from either an empty bed or a almost finished bed, we'll say. How do you prep that soil for fall planting? Big difference there. Fall planting and spring planting, some people are planting the same thing. If you have a long growing season, like we do here in East Texas, my first frost date isn't until November 15th, and it's August 11th. September, October, November. That gives me over 90 days till my first frost date. So there is a significant amount of seed varieties that I can plant right now. A couple of those things are beets, turnips, rutabaga, radish. Not necessarily something I'm going to plant outside right now because it's over 100 degrees still, but fall crops include cabbage, carrots, cauliflower. There's a lot of things that you can plant for fall. Now, because I still have some more time, there's even more things I can grow if I want to grow for greens. So I'm going to plant some collards. I'm going to plant some more Swiss chard. I'm going to plant amaranth specifically for the greens. Lettuce is a fantastic fall crop that I can plant. All of these things that I just mentioned, most of them are not heavy feeders. And when I say heavy feeder, I mean something that requires more nutrient intake than others. So tomatoes, corn, and peppers, those are all what is considered a heavy feeder, meaning they need a higher nutrient content to produce healthy crops than, say, a radish or lettuce. Lettuce, if you put too much nutrients in it, it can taste kind of funky. So you don't really want a fertilizer tasting lettuce. You want a nice, fresh, crisp, refreshing lettuce. So again, just as a reminder, don't over fertilize your fall garden. You could add a small layer of compost on the top to this if you have a finished compost. But I'm not going to add any aged manure or anything to this bed because it's already ready to go and I don't need a lot of nutrients. So I think that's it for me today. I will say this before I go. I am in a semi-shaded area. So this is my shady garden bed, and this area back here is going to be full of beds in a couple of days. As soon as we get water, they're having to literally bring the water to this portion of the property. So because this is a shadier area, I'm going to plant leaf crops because leafy greens really only need 4 to 6 hours of sun to mature or to grow. But I'm not going to plant root crops here. Root crops really need about 8 hours of good sun for a healthy crop. So that's going to go in an area that gets a little more sun. So that should give you a little bit of an idea, depending on where you are, depending on what you're planting and what your garden area looks like. I specifically chose this area to go live because it's shaded in the afternoon. When it's 100 degrees outside plus, I don't want to be in direct sun, and my leafy greens probably don't want to be in direct sun either. So that's something to take into consideration when you are choosing a fall garden space. If you're adding new garden beds like I am, or you're planting in a new area, if you're just planting leafy greens, you can get away with 4 to 6 hours. If you're planting root crops, you really need to find a place that has about 8 hours of sun. Now, if you have any questions, you can always send an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. In the description section of this video, you will find a couple of important links. There is a link to my comprehensive planting guide. There's a link to a couple videos that I've already shared, some of our social media pages, as well as the email sign up link. So if you want to receive updates, say when I have a new video out, or when we have a new seed sale or a seed giveaway, like we just finished for this month in August, sign up for our email list and you'll get all the information delivered right to your email. That's it. If you've got any questions, like I said, you can send me an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. If you're interested in a shirt, they are not available yet, but they will be available soon. We'll have a couple designs and a couple of colors. My last video, I think I had a yellow shirt on, so we're looking at different colors to offer to you. I am Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds in the garden, signing off. If you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, happy planting, everyone.